So what is Toolbox? Toolbox is actually a mechanical add-in to DraftSight. It's a plugin that sits on top of the product, and the great news is it's built using DraftSight's APIs. Now, when you purchase DraftSight, I know this is the free version. The free version doesn't entitle you to use the APIs, or doesn't allow you to. But with the paid-for versions, in either the enterprise version or the professional version, if you need to know more about that, just let me know, or go to the DraftSight website and you can find out all the information you need to know about the professional version or the enterprise version. But when you do pay for it, you actually are entitled to use the APIs. So if you are such that you wanted to maybe program add-ins for yourself, you could use the DraftSight APIs to do that. And this particular add-in Toolbox was built using just the DraftSight APIs. So it's very robust. They're very robust. That DraftSight APIs are. They're proprietary. They run in DraftSight only. But if you have an organization and you have some special programs that you want to add into DraftSight, you can do that. You just have to use the paid-for version, access the APIs, and create your add-ins. I have plenty of them, and they work pretty good. But what will Toolbox do? Toolbox, this add-in will allow the user to add standard hardware or symbols. And some of the hardware and symbols are bolts and screws, nuts, pins, washers. It allows you to generate hole callouts, automatically generate balloons, automatically generate bill of materials. It will automatically generate revision tables, weld symbols, and surface finish symbols. So I'm going to do my best to touch on these. The DraftSight Toolbox is relatively new. We launched the DraftSight Toolbox in the version V1R4, and it's in the paid-for version. So if you don't have the paid-for version, you wouldn't have the Toolbox. However, I will allow you to, not allow you to, you're entitled to get that paid-for version, and I'm going to show you the code in a minute. You can get a 30-day trial for the professional version just by typing in a code. So DraftSight, I feel that V1R5 is our best version yet. It's online, available to download. Now you need V1R5 if you're going to try to enable that code to get the professional version for 30 days. You need V1R5. It's at DraftSight.com. And this webinar is going to focus just on the professional version, the toolbox function from the professional version. So visit DraftSight.com to find out more information. These are the versions. This is the lineup for DraftSight. You have the free version, and then of course there's the professional version, which is a new offering. It's a standalone seat where you can get all the added benefits of the paid-for enterprise pack, but you can get it in one seat. The only difference is it's not a network license, and you're not entitled to technical support. And then, of course, there's the Enterprise Pack, which gives you a network license and technical support. And also these extra features that we've added into the product. So here's the code. So if you have V1R5, and if you didn't join my last webinar, if you're new to my webinars, because I did announce this in my last webinar, and hopefully it wasn't too long ago that your trial is expired. But if your trial does expire, feel free to go to DraftSight.com and purchase the professional version. You can do that. But if you go to the command line, and I'm going to pause at this slide for a second, but if you go to the command line and you type in this string, and the underscore is not a typo. It's you want to, if you're not in the U.S., if your OS language is something other than English, you need to type in that underscore. If your user interface is in English, then you're okay. You can just type in the word Start Trial DraftSight Pro, all one word. You can't put a space in there. It's all one word. Start Trial DraftSight Pro. Then when you hit Enter, you will have to restart, and when you restart, you'll get a 30-day trial of the professional version of DraftSight. Pretty good, and if you've done it, you can see that there's some extra features added in. And my last webinar, we talked about some of those things, and I might touch on a few of them today just to just to get you familiar with them, but there's some really great stuff in there. Like I said, I think this is one of the best versions, or the best version that we've launched to date. I think DraftSight is ready for prime time, and hopefully in your business, you might want to invest into DraftSight. So let's go through and talk about what's new in the toolbox. The version 5 toolbox, version V1R 5 toolbox. If you actually have enterprise version of DraftSight and you had enterprise version of DraftSight V1R 4, you may have seen that we had toolbox. But what's new in V1R 5 toolbox is we have more hole options. We have the through hole option, a tapped hole option, and a slotted hole option. We have more balloon options. You can use different sizes and styles of balloons as well as stacking them. I'm going to show you how to stack them. And of course there's revision tables now. We didn't have revision tables before. And the editing feature for a lot of these functions is now streamlined, so it's much easier to do that. Okay, so let's move on to the lesson. Give me 1 second. I am going to launch DraftSight here. There we go. So you don't. I didn't post these example files because they're pretty simple anyway. And if you want to follow along, you can simply follow along with me by clicking along with me, and you can see what's going on here. So if you've launched DraftSight, and if you've launched the trial version of DraftSight, you might see some things new. One of the things that you might see, I'm going to just move something here. You might see this thing called Design Library, and it's defaulted to dock over here on the right-hand side of the screen. I just take and grab the toolbox, the Design Library, and move it over and drop it on top of my other palettes that I already have there, so it doesn't take up any more room in my graphics area than needed. So I already use this palette area for my properties palette, and I use my home palette as well. And another new feature is the communities palette, where you can go ahead and ask questions and answer questions, but that's off topic. But those are some of the new things that you'll see in DraftSight. That's in the free version. But also right here, you see this toolbox, the toolbar. Okay, this toolbar here is the toolbox toolbar. I'm going to redock it just so they can like to put it there when I play with it. If you don't see it, and if you have launched the new version or the trial version of DraftSight, or if you have the professional version or the enterprise version, and you don't see it, go to Tools, and then go to Add-ins, and then you'll find in this dialog there is the add-in for Toolbox right there. I can see I have a bunch of other add-ins for my product, not just the Toolbox add-in, but I have a few others. So once you click on it to show, you can see that you'll see the toolbar right here. And you'll also see the pull-down menu for Toolbox. All right, so let's just start with the beginning. Let's take a look at what we see. The first thing you see is this little magic wand. If I click on this button, it's for standards. So depending on where you are in the world, or what standards that you work by, you can set your default standards. I happen to be here in the US, and I use the ANSI inch standard most often, but you can switch it if you want to be use ANSI metric, or say I was in Europe and I wanted to use the ISO standards. I just simply highlight the standard and then activate, and now that is my active standard. As you can see right here, active standard is ISO. But I'm going to back to ANSI inch, activate. But what is the standards? When we go through and we add hardware and we add pins and we add washers, and that information comes from somewhere. It's a database. So that database is here, is in the standards. So what if I wanted to create my own, or if I wanted to change the standard? I can't actually edit the standards that we have. The basic standards cannot be edited. They're not editable. However, if I did want to, I could create my own custom standards. I have one here. I'm going to delete it. Probably from the last webinar I did, but I can go ahead and take whichever standard it is I want to use as my seed. I can click on it, and then I just click copy. It's going to tell me, what's the name. I'll just put new demo, and then we'll actually add a new standard to my list. I think what happened. Might not like the name. I put an underscore in there, and maybe it does not like the underscore. That would be bad. Okay, let's give us a second to respond. It's not responding. I'm gonna. Okay, here we go. That's back. It did like it. It did put it in there. I don't know what that was. Hopefully you didn't have that problem, but if you did, maybe the underscore maybe it doesn't like that. I'll have to test that later. So now I've actually added a new standard, and if I want to now edit this standard, I can go ahead and edit it. Okay. So what do I want to edit? Maybe I want to make a new hole. Okay. So I go to hole. What kind of hole? A counterbore hole for what? For a pan head screw. And there it is. Okay, this gives me all the information I need to know about that hole. Okay, or the pan head screw itself, I should say. Okay, so the hole definition. Hardware gives me nuts and bolts. Kind of nuts and bolts, lengths. So maybe if I want to add some lengths to my chart, I can add some lengths to my chart, or I can add some data to my chart. So you need to figure out what you need to add. Like I had one gentleman call me and said he had more hardware than we have listed and wanted to know if we could add it. And sure enough, you can add it by using custom standards and using your own custom standard. So that's standards. And if you want to activate it, you could just go ahead and click there and click activate, and you can see that the new standard is new demo. And that would be the active standard. So when I go to put some hardware in, it would be following through with the standard that I have chosen. So the next button, the first button here is hardware. It's pretty self-explanatory. You look at in the dialog box comes up, and you have options: bolts and screws, nuts, pins, and washers. So why don't we do this? Let's take a look at this first, this dialog. And when I click on, say, a bolt and a screw, and what I see here is a preview of the bolt head. Okay, well that preview matches up with, under this description tab, the creation method. Okay, so the preview right now is the bolt head, which would mean that it's going to be near side. So if I was to put this bolt in my layout, the near side would be the side visible of the layout. If I want to change that, I just come over here. If it was maybe it's on the far side, so it's hidden from view. So I click into the far side, so you can see now that there's hidden lines. And the great thing is, I didn't load any line types into my file when I created this. But when I add the bolt that has a certain line style, it'll add that line style into the file for me. It does it automatically. So I don't have to go ahead and add any line styles that are on this in this geometry. Side view 1, again, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see side view 1 is the side view of the bolt. Okay, side view 2. So if you kind of flip through these, you can see what they are. Side view 2 is simply the head of the bolt. Okay, side view 3 looks like the head of the bolt, but I'm going to show you something in a little bit. This is actually where you would see. I'm going to close this out. In this particular layout, if I put the side view of this bolt in here, you'd see the bolt head, but in here would be hidden because it's through the hole, and then maybe there's a nut and a washer or whatever, and then through that you'd see the end of the screw. Well, that's what you're going to get with side view 3. Is you're going to get the head, and then it's going to be invisible until you get all the way to the point where it's visible again. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Where was I? Right here. All right. So again, I go to nuts and bolts, side view 3, and then there's side view 4, which is just the piece that's in the middle. If you click on the properties, you can see there's different properties of the hardware. Okay, so maybe it's a non-bearing, or maybe you want to use a different kind of thread. You've got a detailed thread instead of, let's see if it shows in a preview. Side view 1. Notice that the thread detail shows up when I change the properties, because I wanted a detailed thread, or if I want a simplified thread, or if I want the schematic type of thread. So there's all different options that you can use as far as the threads go. And now here's this fastener length. Okay, how long is the fastener and how much thread is there, and material thickness. Now the reason why when I went to side view 3 it doesn't show is because the length of the thread is as long as the length, or the distance of the material is more than the length of the thread, so you wouldn't see anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some hardware in just so I can explain this a little bit better. So, oop, I shouldn't have done that. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and add a flat washer. I guess I'll use number 10. I'll use a number 10 flat washer, and the side view is, this is the side view. This is what I want to see. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and I come and you can see it's on my cursor, and I'm going to want to put it right here, but of course I don't want it the way it's shown, right? So when I click, we have what's called tracker, and I have ortho on. I'm going to turn it off for a second. I have tracker, so I can actually put this in any orientation that I want. I happen to want it to be this way, so I click. And now I can add another one, click, and again, that's the tracker's on. You got to remember the tracker's always on when you add the hardware, so you have to click and click. So I added a flat washer to my layout. So I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to go to enter. It brings me back, and that's changed now from a flat washer to a lock washer, a regular lock washer. So I changed to a regular lock washer, and I click OK, and I'm in here. And again, I click on the intersection where I want it to go. I got the tracker on. That's why I had ortho on, because if I have ortho on, I just need to make sure it's going the right way. Click. And then I'm going to go ahead and click here. Got to find that intersection. Click and click. And now I've added my lock washer. So I'm going to right mouse click, hit enter, and let's add a nut. So number 1032 nut sounds good to me, and I am going to go on the side view, okay, for the nut. So I click OK, and I come over here, locate that intersection, move my tracker, click again, click, and I've got the nut. Okay, so now I've got build up. I started with a little stack up here: flat washer, lock washer, nut. So let's go ahead, right mouse click, and click enter, and let's put the bolt in. Okay, go to 1032, if I can find it. Let's see, it must be a hex. Maybe it's going to have to be a hex screw. Hex screw. Number 1032. Okay, hex screw, 1032. So again, I've got side view 3, and I want to put it in here, but let's do this. Let's go to properties and take a look at the properties. And it's asking me for some information. It wants to know how long that fastener is and what the thread length is. So, and also, let's look at the material thickness. So the material thickness is what I want this thing to go through. So I'm going to click this button right here. This button is specify a thickness in the graphics area. So I'm going to click. You could just type in the thickness if you wanted to, but I'm going to click on that button. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to click this intersection, and then I'm going to click this intersection, because this is the thickness that the screw needs to go through. Okay, so notice it's 0.976 inches. My fastener length, then, I would want to make sure that my fastener length was, say, 1 inch. Okay, now look at it. The preview's just updated. So maybe I'll make it a little bit more than 1 inch. Okay, so make it maybe 1 1/8. so that it goes through a little further. Oh, and look, I have the schematic type of display. So why don't we do this? Why don't we do detailed display? Okay, so my thread length. Let's change the thread length. No, it doesn't want to let me do that. So this one here, this thread's going to go all the way. This is where you would want to maybe have a custom standard, because evidently in this standard that I have, you can't define the thread length for a screw this long. So maybe you wanted this to only be 3/4 of an inch thread, and the rest to be a shaft. You could go ahead and make your own standard and add that into the list. So I click OK. And now it wants me to locate where I want to put this particular hardware. So I'm going to click the intersection here. I have my tracker on. Click. Okay. Click this intersection here. Click. Now, I don't know about you, but this to me is really cool. Back in the day when we had to make drawings on the drawing board, boy, this would take quite a while. But now it's just click and click. And I know that CAD has been around forever, and people have been doing this. But this is new to DraftSight. And then another feature here I want to show you is, now that I've got my side view of my assembly going, right? What I want to do is put the bolts in the top view. Okay, so there's a bolt here, there's a bolt here, there's a bolt here. There's 4 bolts bolting down this plate, right? So I've got the front view of this bolt, or the side view I should say, and I want the top view. So if I right mouse click right now, I know it looks a little cumbersome and a little bit difficult, and we're probably going to change this in the future, okay? But if you get to know what these mean, this is near side, far side, side view 1, side view 2, side view 3, side view 4, hidden side view 1, hidden side view 2, hidden side view 3, hidden side view 4. So I'm going to go near side. So I haven't gotten out of the function. So DraftSight Toolbox right now knows what hardware I'm adding to the toolbox, and I'm just going to change the view now to near side. And look, now I can add my near side. All right, so now I just find a spot. Don't forget, tracker's still on. So I got to click 2 spots. Click and a click. Right? Click, 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 click. And just for fun, I'm going to turn my ortho off on this one and just kind of move the screw into a position that maybe is a little off kilter a little bit, just to show you that you can do that. So now I've added those bolts to the top view by just a right click of the button. All right. So what if I needed to make a change? So let's go ahead and edit our hardware. Click and click, and up pops my dialog to show me the hardware, and maybe I need to change the fastener length or something. So once I click on it, I can either click on just edit one, edit multiple. I could change all of them at once. So let's do all. And I go to edit. Oop. Uh-oh. We're going to have to start this one over again. All right. DraftSight's going to close on me here. Give me 1 second. Okay, that wasn't good. So let's do this. Let's go back to DraftSight. And let's not do that again. We have to see if that might be a little bit of a hiccup in the system. Give me 1 second. So so far so good. I think this toolbox is pretty slick. So where was I? Let's see what this one is. Okay, well, I'm kind of back to where I was, and not exactly, but I've got a similar drawing, and I want to edit this hardware. So I can do a couple of things. I can go here, click on edit hardware, click on hardware, click on single. Well, the last time I did multiple or did all, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do single. Click edit, and it brings up this dialog box. And this is what I wanted to show you. So when this comes up, you can't just have free reign and change what you want to change. What you can do is you can change the size of the screw, scale, and if I go into properties, I can change the method and the length and the fastener length of the screw. So you can change some basic functions, features of that particular hardware. You can't just go crazy and say I don't want to have a hex screw. I want to have a slotted screw. You'd have to remove the bolt and put a new one in if that was the case. But you can go ahead and I can change the fastener length to something different. We'll make it bigger. Click OK, and you can see I've updated that fastener length. So it's important to know that, because when we go ahead and start creating a bill of materials, now I'm going to undo that change because I want all the stuff to be the same. So when we go ahead and create a bill of materials, which I'm going to do right now, you want to have the proper size hardware, you want to have the proper designation, you want to have the proper information in your bill of materials when you finally generate one. So let's go ahead and look at balloons. Insert balloons. Okay, I have a balloon setting dialog. I know I'm jumping over quite a bit right here, but I'll loop back and get to those. Okay, so right now my balloon settings shows that I have a hexagon balloon and it's stacked, okay, with a leader. So I don't want a hexagon balloon. The default should be circular. And if I go ahead and I go to my options, I can turn the stacking off. Where's the auto increment? Hold on, must stack, no stack. Okay, so I have no stacking for now. I'm going to add stacking in a minute. And of course I have a leader or no leader. So look at these options. You can have a circle with a split line. Okay, you can change the size of the balloon by the number of characters. Right, so if you want to put a bunch of characters in there, you can change the size of that balloon. So I'm going to use one character in my balloon. I'm going to use a circular balloon, but look at some of the other ones. Triangle, you have the shape of a triangle, hexagon, box, diamond. So it's great. So even if you're not doing an assembly drawing, if you're doing a drawing for maybe roadway design or something like that, you have certain symbols and certain different callouts, you can use it. So if you need to create a pentagon shape with a number in it, you could simply just do this, take that leader off, and now you've got the pentagon shape with the number in it. If you needed that in your drawing. Okay, so you can do that. Datum, triangle, arrow. Oh, that's arrow type. We can change your arrow type. Okay, so architectural tick, closed. Where am I? Back here. I want to go to circle. And you can even have none. You can just the number. Okay, if you wanted to. So circle. I want one character. I want to use a leader. My arrow size, I can change the arrow size if I wanted to. And at this point, I don't want it stacked. If I go to options, see this auto increment. You want to keep that auto increment on because now DraftSight will keep track of the balloons that you're putting in. So auto increment. And then when you create your bill of materials, I love this button. When you have information that you type in to the dialog, which I'll show you in a minute, you'll see that it will make the text uppercase. So that is pretty cool. And it'll count the items, verify the data. So let's click OK. And let's go ahead and add a balloon. So now I go to my balloon, insert my balloon. Okay, so where do I want to select an entity? Now look at this design, okay? What you see here is geometry. Okay, this is line, this is a line, this is a line. And you see toolbox geometry. Okay, so there's a difference between the two. And it's significant to know that because if you just have geometry, so right now it wants to know what do you want to attach this balloon to? I'm going to click this line right here, and I'm going to tell I want to click on it right here, and I have nearest. You see this point setting? You can use endpoint, right? Endpoint, but I also have what's called nearest set. Now if you go to eSnap, I right mouse click, go to settings, and the dialog box when it pops up, you'll see there's a nearest setting. It's on my other screen. Hold on. I have dual monitors going here. So here's the dialog box. So if you have this one nearest on there set, when you go ahead and you want to add a balloon to something like this. So it's just going to pick that edge of that geometry instead of picking a point. And then you just place where you want the balloon to go. Now you would think something would happen at this point, but you need to look at your dialog, and I'm going to hit the F2 button so you can see the dialog on the screen. And what it's asking now is for quantity. How many of this item is there? DraftSight says, well, I don't know, but I'm going to default it to 1. If you want 1, just hit enter. So I'm going to hit enter. And now another dialog box pops up. Because this is not Toolbox data, DraftSight doesn't know what it is. It just knows it's geometry, so you picked on it. So what is this that we want to put as part of our assembly drawing? This first field, assembly, is like, what's the top level assembly? And we'll just call this mounting plate. And I'm gonna use lowercase letters just to see what happens. Okay, mounting plate. There's item number 1 because it's the first one we picked. Part number, we'll give it a part number 123-456. Very clever. A description. This one will be the top plate. And then a quantity of 1, which we already told DraftSight, but we could change it here if we wanted to. Click OK. And voila, I have a balloon generated with an arrow pointing to it, and it actually knows what's there. So DraftSight now saying, what's the second entity? So let's go here, pick this edge here, pick my location. Okay, now how many? Quantity of 1. Okay, assembly, again, it's going to be mounting plate. All right, my item number, whoop, I made a mistake. Okay, so sometimes the mistakes are good because it's what I call a teachable moment. I'm going to actually hit the escape key first. I don't have to do this now, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to click edit balloon. And I'm going to go to this balloon. It opens up that dialog box again because I need to put in a part number. So 321-456. And the description for this one would be bottom plate. Bottom plate. All right. And I'm doing this kind of on the fly. And I put this lowercase letters in here. And I've actually never tried it with lowercase. I'm so used to typing in everything in uppercase because that's the standards here. I want to actually see how this works. So there you go. I added a balloon for this plate and this plate, but now I've got to add a balloon for the hardware. So let's go ahead and pick this one. So I picked that hardware. Oop. I got to go back into balloons because I was in edit balloon at that point. So I'm going to pick this hardware. Where do I want the start point? I'm just going to pick something here. Locate the balloon. Now look at this. When I hit F2, under quantity, look what it defaulted to. It defaulted to 4 because DraftSight knows that you put 4 of these on this top view here. So it knows you added 4. Now there could be more. You could type in another number, or you could just hit the enter for the default, and look what happened. I didn't have that other dialog box. That other dialog box never popped up. Why? Because DraftSight knows what that is. The toolbox knows what that is. It knows that that is a screw number 1032 or whatever one I set in this drawing. So it actually knows that geometry and knows what it is. So it doesn't need you to fill out that form. So let's go over here and let's say, okay, I got to put 3 balloons in for these last 3 pieces of hardware, but I want to just put 1 balloon and stack them together. So let's go back to my balloon settings. And let's go over here to my arrow, my stacked type, and I'm going to stack them from left. Stack to the left. Okay, so you can see the leader here, and then the balloons are going to stack to the left. All right, so let's go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to click on my balloon button, insert balloon, and I'm going to pick this item right here, pick my start point, and then click my quantity. Now notice it says 2 because it only knows I put 2 of those in. So I'm going to change this to 4, and it puts a balloon. And then I'm going to click on this lock washer, and it's asking me for quantity, so I'm going to click 4, and it stacks the balloon. And then of course I'm going to click on this one, and it wants a quantity of 4, and it stacked my balloon. So now I have that stack up of my balloons. Now you can stack them up or down, right or left, whichever way you want. So that's automatically generating balloons for bill of materials. Now, I did already go through and edit the balloon, but I'm gonna hold on that for a second. I'm gonna go back and do it again. But right now, what I'm gonna do is say, okay, I'm gonna create a bill of materials. So if I come over here and just look right here, hover over the button that says Create Bill of Materials. So I click on that. Specify the top left insertion point. So let me just click right here, and lo and behold, I've got a bill of materials. Now I can move it. I'm gonna move it so it fits on my drawing better. It's not going to fit on my drawing very good here. Hold on. Okay, I got you. All right, so look at, here it is. You know those dialogues that I was typing in? Typed in the description, I typed in lowercase, look what happened. It turned those characters to uppercase letters. So if you have that little button on when you're in the balloon settings, right? And you got to go find it. It's under options, and then it says make bomb uppercase. You'll get all your text in uppercase. If you don't have that set, even this text here, if you go into the toolbox data, you'll find if I was to go into my settings, you know what? I could go dig deep for it, but if I go into the settings, you'll find that the descriptions are all upper and lowercase. So your descriptions would come in upper and lowercase as well. So let's make sure that you keep that. I think it's defaulted to on, so leave it that way. But notice right here, I don't have part numbers for some of this hardware because DraftSight doesn't really know what the part number would be. It knows what it is. It's a 1032 hex head machine screw. It just doesn't know what you call for part number. So let's do this. Let's go click on this. Specify balloon to edit. I believe if I, no, hold on. Bill of materials edit. So if I click on edit bomb, okay, and I click on this, oh, I need to click on the header, and then I want to edit. Click on E for edit. Specify the one I want to edit, and then up pops that dialog box. So now I would want to do this again. I would want to say, what do we call this? I forget what we called it, but I want to put a part number in. So let's just 222-456. Okay, and then it adds that text right in here. Or I could do this. I could go edit bill of materials. I mean edit balloon. Select the balloon to edit, and I don't know which one. Let's balloon number 4, and then I could go ahead and 333-456. And I can click OK. And notice here the description. See, the description says flat washer, but it's upper lowercase. And if I wanted to change that description, I could change that in here if I wanted to. So I click OK. And voila, it updated. So that is adding a bill of material. So let me open up a new drawing. I am going to open up this one called top plate. Okay, so I got a drawing called top plate. And let's say we started this drawing, and what we need to do is put the hole in. I think it's wise to use Toolbox to create the hole. And I'll show you why. Oop. I have to. Sorry about that. Oh, I'm running out of time. Holy cow. The reason why I want to put holes in it is I'll use the hole function. So I come in the hole function, right? What kind of hole do I want to put in? I want to put in a through hole. I know it's a through hole. It's just a circle, right? So why would I want to use the toolbox to create a circle for a hole, right? So let's do this. Let's create number 10. If I want to, what I could say is go into properties. I could say material thickness, and I could pick this and this so they know how thick it is. And even though it's a through hole, I still want to know how thick it is. And that's because when I put the side view on, I will get the side view. So anyway, I know it's just a circle. So we click here, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to put a different kind of hole in a minute. And then, of course, tracker's on. And it might be a little bit of a pain, but we need to have tracker. We put the tracker on. Okay, we're going to track. Click. So I'm adding 4 holes to my design. And it may be just a little bit more difficult to do this way. than to just put circles in, because you know you can do that. But the reason being is I'm going to go ahead and use a call out. So I'm going to go to whole call out. And what kind of a whole call out do I want to use? Symbolic or traditional? Okay, or what kind of text? I can change my text style. If I create different kinds of text style, I can change that right here. Do I want trailing zeros, leading zeros? Right? I usually take leading zeros off. I can leave trailing zeros on. Decimal places. How many? What's the precision? Okay, 3-place decimal. If you want 2-place decimal, put 2-place decimal. Count holes. It's going to know how many holes there are. So let's do a symbolic whole chart, whole call out right here first. I click on this. I click on the circle. And then I locate it. And here's where if you had your polar tracking on and you had a 45-degree track to it would probably be helpful. I'm very particular when it comes to a drawing, but now I'm trying to rush because I realized it was going so late. And look, I didn't tell DraftSight how big that hole was. I just said put the hole in there. Okay, this is for a number 10 hole. And it knew, because of the data in the toolbox, how big that hole was. Okay, it knew because of how many we put on there to count. It counted them. Okay, so it did that for us. I'm going to switch to another drawing. I'm going to call holes. Okay, it's just a plate with a couple of different holes in it. Right, and I want to go ahead and put another label in here because I'm going to show you symbolic type. Click OK. I want to click that, click this. Here's my hole, here's my call out, and look, 4 times, there's 4 holes. That is a diameter 0.201 through with a counter bore of 0.562, that's 0.12 deep. Pretty good. So you didn't have to do all that. You can just have Toolbox do it for you. Okay. Now, if I wanted the other style of call out, so I click the traditional style of call out. Does anybody remember that? Boy, you know, back in the day when we had to write all this. I said type. We used to write it out by hand, right? You had to write all this stuff out. You know, 201 drill through, C-bore deep. Okay, we had to put all that in there. So those days are gone, thank God. But you can choose either method. The symbolic method or the traditional method. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a whole table in here. So the whole table is pretty good. So right here I'm going to click on this button, whole table. Right now it's very limited right now as far as the tables. We are in the process of changing them. So again, you got the whole make uppercase thing. So you can do X, Y, Z or X and Y. In the case of DraftSight, X and Y is probably what you need. So I click OK. This is the kind of table I want to use. And then it's asking for an origin. If I look down at my command line, what's the origin? The bottom left. So I click right here. This is where I want the numbers to come from. All right. Now specify the holes in the table. And I usually just put a window around them all and hit enter. So it knows all these holes are going to be the ones I'm going to use for my whole table. Now it wants to know where the whole table is going to go. Click right here, and you know, voila, it will generate my whole table. Now look what it did. It not only generated the whole table, it told me what kind of holes they were. Okay, location from this origin. It created the origin symbol for me, and it labeled them with A's and B's. And if I had a different size, it would be C, and then so on and so on and so on. So it will go through, and every time you change size, it will actually add a letter designation to the callout. Now, if I wanted to, I could move this text just by simply using the move function so that I could fit it on my drawing better, because it's just going to put that text in there somewhere near the hole. And if you need to make your drawing more clear or a little cleaner, you can go ahead and move those holes yourself. Okay. Again, now I'm rushing just a little bit. I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to open up another drawing. That's whole tables. So let me open up another drawing. And we'll call this one surface. All right. So I got a surface. I got this little drawing here. It's got some symbols on it, and I'm going to kind of put the same kind of symbols here. So, you know, making this symbol may seem easy, but you know, if you have to do it by hand, it's not so simple. So I got this symbol here. I click on it, and now I've got my options. So what kind of symbol do I want? In this case, it's just a basic symbol. But look what I have here. I don't want this leader, so where's that? I go here, and I got the option for leader. I take that off. I click OK, and I can place that symbol. And notice I can place it in any direction I want. I'm going to place it. Okay, I want to put another one here, and I place it. Okay, so let me go back to the dialog. And to go back to the dialog, I simply right mouse click and then hit enter, and it brings me back. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and say, I do want a leader. Ooh. Click OK. And then I want to say, start point here, right, through there, and I've got my symbol right there. Now, I will not claim to be a master at surface finishes or symbols of surface finishes, but I will tell you that there's all kinds of styles here. So you click on this, and now you can go into different styles, right? Maybe I have some material that I want to remove, or let's just look at machining. Okay, surface texture, and now it gives me a chance to have different angular, perpendicular kind of cuts, circular, so you can see the standards there, and then it gives you information. Here I can say 6332. Okay, so now it gives me the stack that I need, roughness, the cutoff spacing, waviness, height, and spacing. Those of you who are in the field that need to put surface finish symbols know exactly what these things mean. Personally, I haven't done it in years, and I would be trying to fool everybody if I was to claim that I knew what I was talking about. But I don't, but you do, and if you use this tool, do me a favor and send me some feedback on whether or not this is what we need. If there's something wrong, if there's something missing, let me know, and I will be happy to help you out there and get it fixed. So if I want the Japanese standard, they have these symbols. Notice the little triangles. You can add those, and each one means a different roughness, I think, but I don't know that for a fact. All right, so that's surface finish. So you can put it on a leader, or you can put it right on the geometry. You can go ahead and flip it. So I click on flip, and it flips it for me. That was this button, flip. And now I'm going to go to another drawing that I created, I think, called Weld. Where is it? Surface holes. I don't see it. Open, weld, open. And I got a drawing with a weld. That's two plates that need to be welded together with, we'll call it a fillet weld. And we're going to grind that fillet weld flush. Okay, and we'll use a 1/4 inch size fillet. So I click on my welding symbol, and here comes my dialog, and then I go ahead and find out what kind I need. So I'm going to use both sides, and I'm going to use a fillet. So right there, there's the thing. What did I say? I said I'm going to use a grind flush, both sides, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch. Okay. Now again, I don't claim to, and we're going to do it in the field. I don't claim to be an expert on weld symbols either, but I could. Now here, I could put some of these abbreviations. I don't know which one I would use, but if I needed arc welding, it goes in a little tail of this welding symbol. I click OK, click, and voila, automatically generated my welding symbol with the particular functions that I've added to it. So I really like that as well. I think if you are in the field and you need to do welding symbols, I think this is a great tool. It's worth the price of admission just for that, because otherwise you've got to create your own blocks, and you got to insert your block, and you got to change this and that and the other thing, and you got this here. And again, if you do use this tool, and if you are a welding expert, welding symbol expert, and I'm missing something or there's something that doesn't work right, please, 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 please contact me so that I can make sure that we get this right. This DraftSight Toolbox is I would call it at version 1.1. Really, it's really new. In version V1R4 we added it, but I will tell you that we didn't have much use. It really wasn't promoted because V1R4 was in September, V1R5 in January. There wasn't a lot of time in between, so it's really new. So we need feedback, if good or bad, more good than bad, hopefully. But either way, we could use the feedback, and I appreciate it. But I'm going to go through one more thing, and that is adding a revision table. So I want to add a revision table to my drawing. So I go ahead and let's see, where do I want the insertion point of the table? Right there. Now I hit enter, specify insertion point, then default was yes. Do I want to add a revision now? Yes, I do. So zone would be the zone of the drawing. Let's just say it's in B4. Okay, I think this is the case I had to type in capital letters. Revision A, and then say description. Let's say added weld symbol. Okay, and approved by me, MSL, and then the date. And I click OK, and what's going to happen is I'm going to get the table. Okay, with the description, and I get the little triangle, and I can put it right there. Okay, and I can go ahead and add to it. So I can say insert revision, zone, B3, revision B, and I'll say, I don't know, added dimension. Approved, L, click OK. It added my second revision, and then it gave me the opportunity to put my symbol in. So revision table and bill of materials and whole charts. Now I would like to close this by saying that we are in the process of working very hard on updating and fixing the table functionality within Toolbox to make it much more robust. Okay, so for the time being, hold your breath. You have the tables that we have, but coming soon, and soon being probably the next release of DraftSight 6 version V1R6, the functionality of the tables will be much more flexible. I can choose to go from bottom to top on my bill of materials, say, or I can specify the width of my columns. I can change the name of the table. I can change the headers if I want to. So that in the next version of Toolbox, we're going to have that functionality. So that's a quick rundown on the nuts and bolts of Toolbox. Like I said, feel free to play with it with the code that I gave you. I'm going to see if I have any questions here. David has a question. I can't see it. I'm blind as a bat. So. David, the question being, if you have a bolt side view of 30 or 45 degrees, can you have the top view of the bolt show at the corresponding angle? I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but what you can do is with the tracker you can rotate the bolt head, but when it comes to the side view of the bolt bolt head shape is kind of fixed. So if that's the question, then I think the answer is no. But at least you saw that with the tracker you can rotate the location. Oh, you can rotate the location of the head Oh, you know what I wanted to do too quick before I'm off, but just so you can, I know that I'm out of time because it's 12 o'clock, but go to the slot function. It's pretty cool. You can have different kinds of slots. You can have a curved slot. You can have a straight slot, right? So curved, straight. You can have a radius at one end different than the radius at the other end. You can define the slot from tangency to tangency or center to center. You can locate the slot using the center method or the center of the hole method. There's all kinds of different options available when it comes to slots. I think that's a really nice feature that we've added. I missed displaying that in this session, but the slot functionality is pretty cool. So, and like I said, you can even put a curved slot in. So that's all the time I have for now. Unfortunately, I'm stacked back to back with a lot of meetings today. I apologize, but feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to answer your questions. Thanks for attending. I hope this was informative. And one of the other things that we've been asking and not getting a lot of response is the length of these webinars. And I've been toying with the idea of making them shorter, whether they're too long. Obviously, today's I could have gone on longer, but I'm pretty happy with today's session. So reach out to me if you need, and I appreciate your attendance. Thank you. And yes, the video will be available later.